Bullet point overview of why Edgar Degas could be Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper is presumed to have killed 5 women in Whitechapel, London, women who were at the time presumed to be sex workers. Degas was a known misogynist, and his artwork centered around ballerinas who at Paris were sex workers. His art in particular drew attention to the fact that they were sex workers and criminal in nature. One of the biggest mysteries is, why did Jack the Ripper start and stop so suddenly? But if Jack the Ripper was French and he started his murders in France, then that dissolves that mystery. First unsolved murder of a Parisian sex worker in 1879. They last through 1886. In 1886, 2 things happened. 1, there was a cave-in on the railway that provided an entrance to the catacombs. The catacombs are an underground graveyard in Paris. A dismembered body had to be discarded on the street. 2, the Pranzini affair. Marie Renaud, who had been a noted sex worker, a member of the demi-monde, had been murdered along with her housekeeper and her housekeeper's child, who was only 12. All 3 women had their throats slit. The murder was blamed on an Egyptian who maintained his innocence until he went to the guillotine. During the trial, all of these different unsolved murders of sex workers were brought up again and again, and the police were made to look incredibly foolish, and they started patrolling the streets more carefully than they had ever done so before, watching what happened to sex workers. The heat was on in Paris. Degas had to find another place to hunt, and he found a man with like mind in Walter Seickert, who Patricia Cornwell has accused of being Jack the Ripper himself. While Seickert didn't claim to be Jack the Ripper to friends and family, he did claim to have rented a room to him. When the murder started in London, neighbors at the time were noting that the similarities of the murders were strong. The French police gathered their files and took them to London to try and help with the cases in the Whitechapel murders. But because the Parisian police had done such a poor job of tracking down any of the killers, the London police rejected their assistance. Meanwhile, one of Degas' models, Marie van Gotham, disappeared from history. Her last record is in 1882 when she tried to flee France with her mother and her sister. They were stopped at the border by the police because her elder sister had stolen money from her gentleman client during the night. The murder of Mary Jane Kelly is the MO that fits the murders in Paris most strongly. It is done indoors, it is careful, it's methodical. It's obviously pre-planned as opposed to the ones down out in the street. And Mary Jane Kelly had worked at a French brothel. There she took on the name Marie Jeanette. Mary Jane Kelly has no past. Anything before 1883 is a mystery. She was presumed to be Irish, and so therefore Ireland has been searched thoroughly for her birth certificate, and no trace of her has been found. The famous From Hell letters, supposedly from Jack the Ripper to Mr. Lusk, contained half of a human kidney preserved in wine. Edgar Degas wrote a sonnet titled Young Dancer, which was obviously about Marie von Gotham, where he talked about preserving her fruits for his well-known tastes. It's time we looked further at what his tastes really were.